John Blackfeather's hands shook as he gripped the faded envelope, not from the cold wind sweeping through Rocky Ridge, Wyoming, but from a deeper ache. Fear had left him years ago in the rugged Badlands, but this was different. The letter came from a ghost Bill Jenkins, the only outsider who'd ever treated him like family, seeing past the Lakota blood and broad shoulders to the man beneath. "She's coming, John." The words read, "My niece from Chicago. She'll have a map. Keep her safe when I'm gone." I showed her how to read the land, but not the hearts of men. Through the grimy window of his blacksmith shop, John watched the Greyhound bus pull into the dusty stop. A woman stepped off, city coat too clean, carrying a worn briefcase, clutched like a lifeline. Her eyes sparkled with that risky mix of curiosity and grit that got folks killed out here. What happens when a vow to a dead friend crashes into a stranger's ambitions? That's the question that haunted John as she approached. Her name was Emily Whitaker, and she strode into the rusty nail bar like a fresh breeze in a stale room. Roughnecks and ranch hands turned, their faces etched with hard living. She moved with the poise of someone hiding nerves, her auburn hair catching the dim light from neon signs. John kept hammering at a plow blade, the forge's heat mirroring the flush rising in his neck when her voice cut through the chatter. "I'm looking for John Blackfeather." The room went quiet. Native roots weren't embraced here, just endured. But Bill Jenkins had bailed John out more than once, and favors ran deep in these parts. "That's him," a grizzled cowboy grumbled, nodding toward the forge. "The big Lakota fella." John set down his hammer and faced her. She was petite but fierce, her eyes like forged steel from the windy city, hardened by urban hustle. When their stares locked, the air thickened. "You're the niece," he said, his tone gruffer than planned. Bill had warned him about her arrival, saying she'd stir up trouble. She stepped nearer, close enough for him to catch her scent-fresh coffee and resolve. "How'd you know?" "You pulled me from the brink a decade back." Said his city kin would need watching someday. John wiped his hands on his apron, suddenly self-conscious of his towering frame and scarred arms. Emily opened the briefcase with shaky fingers. The map inside was sketched by hand, dotted with Lakota symbols, old settler notes, and Bill's precise markings. "Uncle Bill said you're the only one who can decode the true trail," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "He left this for me to find the hidden silver. I needed to fund a community center for kids in tough spots." John eyed the map, his gut twisting. These weren't paths to silver. They led to something perilous and priceless, the ancient burial sites of his ancestors, concealed since the forced relocations of the 1800s. "This route," he said, meeting her gaze, "it's not what you expect." "What do you mean?" Before he could explain, she traced a symbol, her touch light but electric, sending a jolt up his arm. "These designs are stunning." "What do they stand for?" "They stand for—" John paused. Bill had entrusted her with secrets that could shatter his people's remnants, but also tasked him with her protection. "They stand for a tough journey ahead." Emily straightened, and John saw the same unyielding spirit that had carried Bill through frontier skirmishes and land grabs. "This seems overwhelming for me," she admitted, scanning the map. Then she looked up, her grin warm enough to thaw Wyoming winters. "But I'll give it a shot." That grin stuck with him like a burr. That night, John tossed on his cot, staring at the rafters. A promise to the dead was sacred, but out here, they twisted like sagebrush, especially with sacred lands and a woman whose voice echoed like a mountain stream. Across town, Emily's light burned late in the motel, pouring over guides to wilderness survival. It almost made him chuckle Lil Moss because dawn would force the truth. The map pointed not to silver for his center, but artifacts preserving his heritage. Between loyalty and longing, Between ghosts and the living, John Blackfeather had to pick a side. The Lakota in him warned that trust was a fool's game. The part Bill had molded the literate scout who saw beyond skin tones murmured her name. Come morning, he'd teach her the ropes of the wild, decode the land's harsh code, and on that brutal trail, learn what unfolds when a native's oath meets an outsider's vision. Dawn broke sharply and unforgiving over the Rockies. John found Emily behind the motel, fumbling with a backpack on a skittish horse rented from the livery. She'd swapped her coat for jeans and boots, still shiny. The way the denim clung made his throat tighten in known women, but none with her blend of drive and elegance. Horse senses your jitters, he said, approaching steadily. Quit overthinking. She spun, her hair whipping over her shoulder, a sweat drop trailing down her neck into her shirt's collar. Overthinking's my thing. Then focus on balance, not the drop. For the next hour, teaching her to ride felt like taming a storm, frustrating yet captivating. She tackled each tip with a zeal she'd apply to spreadsheets or strategies. When she finally stayed astride for a full minute, her laugh rang out, cracking something in his chest. You're gripping like it's a subway pole, he noted. Ever ridden the L train? John thought. No, but I bet it handles better. Her laughter was pure and open, and in her sparkling eyes, he teetered on an abyss deeper than any gorge. By midday, they rode tandem toward the Bighorn Mountains. Emily eased up, trusting the horse and him. Tell me about Uncle Bill, she said, navigating a steep path. Below, the plains sprawled like shattered vows. John stayed silent, so long she figured he'd clam up. Found me shot up and fevered, he finally said, grief heavy. Could have left me for coyotes. Instead, taught me books, said worth ain't in blood or hue. What did you teach him? Survival. Seeing the land as an ally, not an enemy. The first real ordeal hit at Thunder Creek, where a storm swell turned the stream into a rage. John gauged the foam, risks mounting. Beside him, Emily analyzed like a pro from her city smarts. Too deep to cross straight, she said, but feasible angled. John dismounted, wading in. Trust me. What followed etched into his mind. Emily slid off, grabbed his hand, hers warm against his rough palm. Midstream, the surge yanked her. His arms circled her waist, hauling her close as they battled the flow. For a split second, she pressed to his chest, face upturned, water cascading like molten gold. Time froze. Then they laughed, soaked in muck, and John knew, between dawn and now, the world had shifted. I look like a drowned rat, she gasped. Rats don't laugh like that, he replied, her gaze making his pulse race. That night, by a crackling fire under stars like diamonds, Emily posed the burning question. John, what's the map hiding? He stirred the embers, sparks dancing. In the glow, her face was a mystery and beauty tugging at him. Why think I'm holding back? You eye those symbols like a puzzle that hits home deeper than silver. John paused long. Map ain't to silver, he confessed. To something rarer, riskier. What? Sacred grounds. Lakota burials. Artifacts are worth bank to collectors, but soul to my kin. Emily processed, mind whirring. You figure I'm here to rob your forebears. I figure you're here 'cause Bill knew you'd choose right, even if it breaks you. The query lingered. What was right? They hit Harlan Graves' outpost at day 3's break, smoke curling lazily. John scoped 3 armed men through binoculars, all eyeing the back trail. Who were they? Emily whispered, her warmth against him stirring more than strategy. Old ghost. Hope buried. Harlan Graves, John's ex-army boss from scouting days, saw natives as targets. John bolted when ordered to hunt his own. Miss Whitaker, Graves' voice boomed as they neared. You're with a risky sort. Emily sat tall. John swelled with pride at her edge. Only risk I see is you, sir. Grave chuckled coldly. Your guide wrecked my rank-defied commands. Soft on his wild folk. John's hand twitched toward his gun, but Emily's touch steadied him a tiny move, but anchoring. What are you after, Colonel? Same as you at Lakota's silver your uncle raved on. I'll seize it. Tension coiled like spring. But Emily flipped it. Assume we ain't already got it? Her bluff was slick, even fooling John briefly. Graves hesitated. Where? Eagle Springs. But keys is needed. She flashed a carved stone from her pack-bill's trinket, unrelated to loot. This unlocks the end. Genius stall, buying chaos from sudden squall. They bolted through blinding dust to the true springs, knowing Graves trailed men like him always did. The real site hid in a tight ravine, walls etched with ancient tales from time's dawn. Breathtaking, Emily breathed, John seeing anew through her not plunder, but sanctity. The cave lurked behind a waterfall veil. Inside, carvings mapped cosmos and cycles, a sacred math that awed her. Star map, she traced reverently, but also a timetable, a mechanism. John nodded. Grandma's tales said elders stashed treasures here from troops. Locke needs dual wisdom, stars and spirit. Together, they cracked ether logic, unveiling alignments, his lore the essence. The chamber yawned open like destiny. Inside stole her breath. Not silver, but heirlooms beadwork, tools, relics of timeless craft. John, she whispered, these deserve display. With my people, he said softly but steel. What's left? Then Graves burst in, hands off. Rifle on John, goons blocking the exit. Fortune, here clear my tabs, set me golden. Your uncle was dumb, trusting a savage. Emily stepped between, instinctively, John's heart slamming. Not yours. Not mine. Then whose? She glanced back, eyes full of profound grasp. Those who remember roots. What ensued tested John's wilderness wits and Emily's inherited guts. With her geo-savvy, she sparked a precise slide, trapping Graves' crew but sparing the core. In mayhem, they fled with key pieces, sealing the rest safe. But true wealth emerged intangible. The wild schooled harshly, the toughest at their fire 3 nights post-collapse, watching Graves fade south. Could drop you in Rocky Ridge, John said. Forget silver, head to Chicago. Emily polished a relic bracelet, starlight in its stones. That's what you want. What I want. John-eyed flames, ghosts swirling. Doesn't count. You got life there, kin, causes. Know why Uncle Bill sent the map. She met his gaze. Not just silver, said the wild reveals true selves. John waited, voice caught. I know me now. Value essence over ease. Build real over chase quick. Her smile was tender, sure. Home ain't turfits who sees you true and picks you. Words bridge the gap, risky yet reshaping. Emily, you feel if this ain't pity or proximity. John looked deep. Fire in her hair, strength in hands forged by trials, wisdom in eyes, her shield against Graves' aim. You don't get at no bridge. Lakota, who reads, scout who balked, no fit anywhere. We'll carve our spot. Simple, lethal words. 6 months on, the community hall rose at Rocky Ridge's edge, a kept oath. Emily used found silvericide, stashed from relics, to buy supplies and dreams. John built with know-how and muscle, enduring beyond them. Miss Emily, little Rosa Martinez asked in session, how'd you get brave? Emily gazed out at John, teaching mixed kids Lakota, Latino, white tracking skills, patient as stone. Met someone showing fear and guts coexist. After walking home past a shop, she laced fingers in Hisa's small act, heavy with choices. Regrets? She asked. Artifacts. They rested with elders, guarding fading ways. Their hall blended wisdom equally. Nah, he said. Bill said best treasures share. That dusk on their porch, sunset gilding peaks. Young Tim, eagle of feathers showed with an oversized bow. Mr. John, this bow's huge, can pull it. John eyed the kid, then Emily's transformative smile. Grow into it, he grinned. But try anyhow. Years later, Rocky Ridge tales varied. Some said the pair unearthed minor gold. Others bandit loot, whispers of returned sacreds to the land. But Hall grads who read multiple tongues, tracked and calculated, saw character over color knew truth. In John's softened gaze at Emily's laugh, her side-by-side stride, their joint creation. The wild tested, broke some, soured others. But for the bold trusting love over security, spotting wealth in surprise sit gifted rebirth. John Blackfeather thought his tale ended with his people's displacement. Emily Whitaker believed hers started on that bus. Wrong both. It sparked trusting dreams, outlasting silver, hall growth, and students' teaching. Some treasures endure, promises hold, and love span lifetimes. But you try anyway. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you side with preserving cultural artifacts over personal gain? Or would you have handled the map differently? Let me know your stance and why.